All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and you're welcome to another class session. So, whereby we're talking about some microorganisms that cause diseases, the, uh, the nature of those microorganisms, the process of their causation of disease, and also some of the ways in which we can prevent them. So, um, it's if you want to know more about a particular enemy, if you want to attack a particular enemy, the first thing that you want us to do is to know more about that particular enemy. Without knowing that enemy, you will not know how to attack them. So, and that is the purpose of this particular class, studying of these pathogens and how and what they are, the reality of what they are in totality. So, in our last class, we talked about the bacilli, the cocci, and the likes. So, and today we are going to continue from where we stopped. And in our last class, we made a promise that one of the evaluation for the class is that we are going to have a presentation on each selected disease or a selected parasite or a selected bacteria of our choice. So hopefully we are going to complete the modules for this session today, and then we'll migrate to other more important part. So we are going to continue on the prevention and control of viral diseases. And unlike other pathogens, viral diseases are known to be very, they are known to be prevented through vaccines. And one of the reasons why this is so is because of the nature of how viruses are. And one important thing about vaccine or vaccination is that it's the introduction of an a dead or semi-active organism to elicit the reaction of the body in response or in preparation for the attack of a live pathogen. I'll take that again. The process of vaccination is simply introducing a particular virus or bacteria or fungi. In that case, in the case in which you vaccinate against fungi, because even going by the name vaccine, so it's more so you are introducing the dead organism into the body or semi-active organism into the body that's not harmful in an unharmful situation into the body to elicit the reaction of the body, the immune system, which will now register. There is a biological register or a bank or a safe whereby the body would have kept it in the memory, neural memory or cellular memory, that yes, anytime this particular organism like this comes, this is how we are going to respond to it. So that is what basically a vaccine is all about. So viral diseases are known to be prevented and controlled by vaccine, and that is why you see examples of that in the COVID-19 vaccines. Another way in which we can prevent and control viral diseases is the good hygiene practices. So you have to be hygienic, because the route in which some of these vaccines they get into the body is through um bad hygiene or bad hygienic practices. Another way is quarantine of infected individuals. Those that are infected, they have to stay away from other people in order to curtail the spread of such a virus. So it is very, very important for such individual who is affected by a virus to stay away. Another aspect is using vector control. This is a big discussion in that vector control can, for example, there is a particular species of mosquito, Culex pipiens, Culex quinquefasciatus. We also have Aedes albopictus. All these two mosquito, they are vectors of viral disease. So, for example, Culex quinquefasciatus or Pipiens molestus or pallens, they are vectors of Japanese encephalitis. So they are Japanese encephalitis JEV, Japanese encephalitis virus. So they are also vectors of the Nile virus. So these are examples of virus. So in the case of Aedes albopictus, so they are also vectors of important diseases like dengue virus. So dengue is a virus. So and it would need mosquito to transfer this particular virus from one individual to another. So if you want to control a particular disease that is viral in nature, you have to control the vectors also. That is, those that are used as the channel in which the virus is spread. So, and that is the example that I've given so far. We also have Zika virus. So Zika virus is also transmitted by this Aedes mosquito. And for those who don't know, Aedes mosquito has a very unique color. They are the black and white mosquito. They are the black and white mosquito. So they are very, very dangerous kind of mosquito, but it's not as dangerous as Anopheles. Anopheles, on the other hand, it doesn't transmit virus. It's not a vector of viral diseases, but a vector of pathogenic disease or protozoan disease like malaria. So we also have what we call the yellow fever virus. We also have what we call the chikungunya fever. So these are examples of viral diseases that are transmitted by vector. So if you want to control this particular disease, you have to control the vector as well. In continuation of that, we also have what we call using antiviral drugs. So an example of the using antiviral drugs is that of people that are suffering from human immunodeficiency virus, so which is the HIV, so or human immune virus rather. So AIDS is acquired immunodeficiency virus, deficiency syndrome. So, but HIV. So after HIV has prolonged for a certain number of time, that is when it will degenerate into AIDS. However, we've had cases of HIV victims or HIV patients having a high load of their viral components in their blood in a very, very minute level, in such a way that they would not be able to transmit that virus. In fact, they will get married, they would have their children, and they will not be even able to transmit that virus to their husbands and even to their children. So that's how low the viral load of the body can be with the advent of antiviral drugs. So that will help boost the immune system of the body. So these are examples of ways in which you can do that. There is also what we call the influenza shot. I don't think that this is common in Nigeria, but in places like Europe, America, all across the globe though, but I'm not in Africa. I don't think that is a common scenario that you find. That is what we call the influenza. And it's a pandemic, especially when it comes to the time of winter. So in fact, I recently suffered 2 bouts of influenza, maybe 2 times within 2 to 3 months, 3 to 4 months, twice. And that's when you'll be sneezing, you'll be coughing, you'll be having fever, and this is caused by virus. So every time, maybe once in a year, there is what we call the influenza shot, that they will tell you to come and take influenza shot so that it will prevent you from having or coming in contact with this influenza virus. Even though it's not a serious, the mortality rate is very, very low according to what I've seen so far, but it's what we call a morbidity. Um in terms of epidemiology, we have what we call mortality and morbidity. Mortality is when someone is affected by disease and they die. And morbidity is when someone is affected by disease, but they do not die, but it affects their lifestyle or uh, life quality. So in the case of influenza, it's mostly about morbidity, except such a person has a pre-existing condition that would not enable them to withstand the bouts of the influenza. So it's important. So we have to take antiviral drugs. In this case of influenza, we take antiviral shots. So it's more or less like a vaccine. But it's particularly aimed at a particular disease. But one nature of the vaccines that we get these days is that these vaccines, you have to take the shots repeatedly. Unlike the case of poliomyelitis, that once you take the vaccine, that's all, once. Or in the case of yellow fever, once you take the vaccine, that's all. In fact, we have malaria vaccine right now, presently. And that's another topic of discussion that's very, very interesting. But anyways, these are some of the ways in which you can prevent and control viral diseases. Now, if we talk about some notable virus, so before we look into the book, we have some notable virus. We have the COVID-19 virus. We also have the Ebola virus. And one way in which these viruses, they cause the debilitating or mortality among those who they affect is that mostly those that suffer from this the bouts of these viral diseases, they are suffering from a pre-existing condition, and the virus would have succeeded in reducing or lowering their immune system. And a reduction in immune system would definitely translate into the person suffering immensely from that particular virus. So it's not all the time that it is the virus that causes the death of the person that they are affecting. It's not always the case. I'm sorry. So it's not always the case that the virus is the one that will cause the death of the person that they are affecting. But usually, it's the cases is that the virus will cause a suppression in the immune system, in the immune strength, the immunity of the individual. The strength will be reduced, and then it will allow the virus to, function or to cause the problem that they are causing. So that's what we have the cases in COVID-19 and the likes. You will see that those who died mostly from COVID-19, there are those that are having pre-existing conditions prior to the introduction of the COVID-19. So there are some notable viruses that we have to know. We have the poliomyelitis virus, which causes poliomyelitis, and it is transmitted via the fecal oral route. That means that someone that is suffering from polio, If he excretes openly and the excreta dries off, the dried excreta that contains the virus, the poliovirus, if breeze blows and carries the virus and someone unknowingly just breathes in, or even after going to the bathroom or toilet, and he uses that same hand, contaminated hand, and then he introduces it into someone else's mouth, either one way or the other. Maybe he wants to feed someone or the like. Such a person has the tendency of being affected or infected by this particular virus. So the route is fecal to oral route. We also have the arbovirus, and those are the viruses that I've spoken about regarding the virus that needs vectors to transmit them. An example of such vectors is the Aedes mosquito, and we have Aedes albopictus and Aedes aegypti, and we also have the Culex species mosquito. We have the Culex quinquefasciatus, Culex pipiens, Culex pipiens pallens, and Culex pipiens molestus. So these are examples of mosquitoes that assist in transmitting this arbovirus. An example of that arbovirus, I've mentioned them: Zika virus, dengue fever, yellow fever virus. We have chikungunya, and in case of Culex, we have the Japanese encephalitis virus and the Nile virus. We also have what we call the oncogenic virus, which is another example of notable virus. And this oncogenic virus, they are associated with cancers. So, and an example of that is the HPV, and we have the EBV virus. So, anytime you hear the word oncogenic, it's relating to cancer. We also have ecovirus. An example is the enteric cytopathic human orphan virus, which causes aseptic meningitis. We've discussed meningitis a little bit in our previous class when we talked about meningitis affecting the brain and the spinal cord, inflammation of the brain and the spinal cord, and then this will result into a lot of symptoms like headache, inflammation, fever, and the likes. So, and it causes a lot of, in fact, presently in Nigeria, and especially some countries in the sub-Saharan Africa are in the meningitis belt, and it's being a scourge right now, especially in sub-Saharan Africa. And because this disease has been ravaging the continent or the belt for more than a century. So it's a very big problem, meningitis. So we also have what we call the bacteriophages, and these are viruses that infect bacteria, and these are very, very important in molecular biology. So these are some notable viruses that we have to take note of and we have to study deeply. So having said that, we also have okay, that's okay, we can leave it as that. Now, let's move on to the next phase, which is the parasitology. In parasitology, which is the third part, we've talked about bacteria, we've talked about virus. Now we are talking about parasites. What are parasites? So the simple definition is very easy. Is that an organism that lives in a host derives its nutrients from the host at the detriment of the host. Sometimes an organism might be living inside of you, but it is being of benefit to you. In that case, that is not a parasite. But when an organism that is living inside you is causing you a problem, that means that organism is a parasite. So, a parasite lives inside an host. It will need an host to survive. And then it derives a nutrient from the host, not just nutrient, shelter from the host. And then this is at the host's expense. The host is not deriving any benefit from that. In the other case, whereby the host is benefiting from the presence of the organism, And usually the parasite is usually smaller than the organism that they are benefiting from. So, but in the case whereby the organism is giving the benefit to the host, that means they are symbiont. Even though the benefits, the rate of the benefits might not be at the same way or the same level, but at least he is giving back to the host. In that case, such an organism is still a symbiont. Symbionts or symbiosis, we all know that symbiosis can be mutualistic, that is, they are getting the reward, like each of them are getting the reward, or commensal. In that way, they are not causing the host harm, but they are benefiting, but they are not causing the harm. So in that case, that's a commensal. So there are different types of relationship or symbiosis in that regard. So this is a definition. This is the definition of a parasite. A host is an organism that harbors the parasite and provides nourishment and the shelter. It's the one that is not getting anything from the relationship. It's not good for us to be a parasite. It's good to be a commensal or at best a mutualistic partner in any relationship. So we pray we are all mutualistic to one another or commensal at worst to one another, but not a parasite. So there are different types of relationship. So parasitism, commensalism, or mutualistic relationship. In the case of commensalism, I will give an example of I want to give an example that comes that is very closer to home. Let's say a tree. Let's say you plant a tree and the tree has many branches, and the branches are wide, leaves are spread, and in the sun you are hiding under the tree. Even though you are not giving the tree water, you are not providing any nourishment, but the tree is benefiting to you. But you are not also harming the tree by cutting down its leaves or the branches. So that's a commensalistic relationship. However, there are different types of parasites, that is, benefiting and not giving benefit, but harming the host. We have number one, a protozoa. I spoke of the protozoan a short while ago. And a protozoan is a single-celled eukaryotic organism that are often parasitic, and they can live in various environments, including water and host bodies. Protozoans are animal form of protists. Protozoans are animal form of protists. I don't want to go deep into parasitology, but yeah, let me just briefly go through in that regard. A protozoan is a single-celled eukaryotic organism that is animal. We can call it an animal form, not a plant form, because the plant form is Protophyta. But the family name of protophyte or protozoan is protists. So that's the family name of both of them. Anytime you hear protista is a family name or an organism that is not an animal, is not a plant or fungus. So protist is the name. So it's the compound name for the protozoan and protophyta. Protozoan is the animal part, while the protophyta is like the plant part. You can get that from the name proto, and zoa. Zoa is from zoo. Anytime you hear zoo, is zoo, zoology, animal. So that's the explanation regarding the common name. An example of protists. Let me quickly brief through. Example of protists. Example of them are the amoeba. We all know amoeba. We also have the flagellates. An example of the flagellates that we know, like the paramecium, they have flagella. No, paramecium is not a okay. They have cilia. In that, paramecium has cilia. Now we have Spirogyra. Spirogyra or Spirogyra is a plant-like protist that looks like plant. So I think we are now getting the example now. We also have algae. Algae are photosynthetic protists, so that means they are not they are plant-like. They are plant-like. So they are like plants. So those are the examples of the protista that we have. So now we are now talking about protozoan. Another example of protozoan, parasitology is a big field. In fact, it's a whole course on its own. So we'll just brief through, because I just saw an example that I would love to explore. But yeah, it might go beyond our head, and we might not be able to get anything from the class. So protozoans are animal-like protists and are often parasitic. They live mostly inside water and in the host bodies. Features of protozoans include that they are unicellular, they are eukaryotic, they are asexual or sexual in their reproduction, and they move by pseudopodia. That is the case of amoeba, and they move by flagella, and they move by cilia. So those are examples of the features of a protozoan. Are we together? Not that I'm speaking to myself. Please, if we are together, please let me know.
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Any other member together with us?
Yes, we are.
Good. Now I'm safe. I'm not talking to myself. So now we have morphological characteristics that distinguish all these protozoans. We have the nucleus, we have the cytoplasm, we have the locomotor structure, which are the pseudopodia, cilia, or flagella, and we have the cyst form, that is, they form cysts to survive. And now, just like I mentioned in the definition of the protozoans, that most of them are parasites. Most of them are parasites, but not all of them are parasites. So the parasites among them are pathogenic. The non-parasite among them are non-pathogenic. An example of the non-pathogenic parasites are in humans is Entamoeba coli, Endolimax nana, Chilomastix mesnili. So, but the notable protozoan pathogens is the Entamoeba histolytica, Giardia intestinalis, Leishmania donovani, and Plasmodium species. So, in our next class, which most likely will be the last class before the evaluation starts, so I'm not sure the timeline for the course to end, but I think this or next class should be the last class. I think we've spent how many weeks? I'm not sure. So, anyways, I'm going to talk in detail. I'm going to make a comprehensive presentation, a PPT presentation on these notable protozoan pathogens. So, giving us the structure, the images, and everything. And then I'll focus on the most notable disease-causing protozoans. So we have trypanosomas. Trypanosomasis is the one being transmitted by Glossina species. So, and these are the ones causing sleeping sickness. We also have Leishmania, so which causes Kala-Azar. We also have another one. Leishmania is transmitted by sandfly. And we also have river blindness transmitted by Glossina species. No, Glossina is what's it called? Leishmania. Glossina is a trypanosomiasis causing this. So I'm going to make a comprehensive presentation on this. So we have to study them. It's very, very key to what we have to know. And then most especially Plasmodium species. Plasmodium is the causative organism for malaria. And we have different types of malaria. We have Plasmodium falciparum, which is the common malaria that we all know. We have Plasmodium malariae, which is Plasmodium falciparum is transmitted by Anopheles gambiae or Anopheles funestus or Anopheles coluzi and some other species of Anopheles, usually found in sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria, Gambia, Senegal, Benin, Togo, Ghana, what other country? Congo. Those are the most common mosquitoes, Anopheles, that transmit that. We have Plasmodium malariae. We also have Plasmodium vivax. Plasmodium vivax is transmitted by Anopheles sinensis, which is another mosquito that is common here in South Korea, in Southeast Asia, and other East Asian countries. So you would not find Anopheles gambiae here, but you find Anopheles sinensis that transmits another type of malaria called Plasmodium vivax. So we also have another kind of malaria. We also have Plasmodium ovale. Ovale is the one that is that causes malaria, especially in birds. So it's found in birds, but not usually in human beings. So this is how vast, how big the discipline is, and how interesting it is. So I'm very, very sure we would enjoy the presentation together when I'm going through it. So we also have what we call the Giardia intestinalis. So Giardia intestinalis causes giardiasis. We have greasy stools and then bloating. When you are just kind of Toby, like you are just bloating unnecessarily. So it's caused by Giardia. So we are going to talk extensively on this presentation, along some other presentation that I would like to give some visual representation for. So presentation next week. So now we should move on to number 4, which is the helminthids. Helminths. The comprehensive presentation on the structure and everything will also come up next week, God willing. So Thursday, only conference. So, but anyways, yes, I would see to it that we have the presentation. So, helminthids. Helminths are worms. Helminths are worms. The discussion that we've been having before is about unicellular organisms, one cell. But now we want to talk about multicellular organisms that are pathogens. Multicellular organisms that are pathogens. We want to talk about them. An example of that, the multicellular organisms that are pathogens are helminths. Helminths are parasitic worms. They are parasitic worms. And they are classified into 3 categories: the cestodes, the trematodes, and the nematodes. Cestodes, trematodes, and nematodes. It will get pretty confusing. It will be confusing to you. But the difference between the 3 is that one is flat. The second one is, okay, one is flat and segmented. When they say something is flat and segmented, that means it has different segments, very flat, straight, and segmented. The second one is flat, but it is leaf-shaped. It is shaped like a leaf. And the third one is round, unsegmented worm. It is round, cylindrical, like snake, unsegmented. The first one, which is flat, segmented, is the cestode. We call them the cestodes, and they are called tapeworms. Going from by the name tape, the way you have tape rule, how tape rule used to be long. That is an example of the flat tapeworms. They are cestodes. They are flat and they are segmented worms. So they look like tape. So that's why they are called tapeworms. The second one, the trematodes that are leaf-shaped, they are flat, but they are leaf-shaped. So these ones are called flukes. They are called flukes. Fluke, 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 fluke. And the third ones are called roundworms, because going by the name nematodes, they are roundworms. So these are the major difference, the structures. The first one is cestode, the second one is trematode, the third one is nematode. All of them are toad. You just have to know the difference between the names and what they bear. God willing, next week's class will be a comprehensive discussion about all these helminths. The number one helminths, cestode, they are usually found in pork. The tapeworms, they are usually found in pork. An example is Taenia solium, which is usually found in pork. But don't be mistaken, it is not just found in pork, they are also found in cows. The ones that are found in cows are called Taenia saginata. Taenia saginata. Taenia saginata are found in cows. So Taenia saginata. So the one in pork is Taenia solium. Tapeworms that are found in pork are called Taenia solium. So they lack digestive system and they are hermaphroditic. At least they can reproduce within themselves, by themselves, without any need for having a male or female coming together. So they can reproduce themselves, which makes them very, very dangerous. So Taenia solium, Taenia saginata, tapeworm. The second one is trematodes, which are flukes. Now, this okay, before we go to the second one, the first one, what they do is that they suck blood. they suck the blood of whoever they are affecting. They suck the blood of whoever they are affecting. So in the case of okay, that's one way, one definition or one way of distinguishing them. Now they have no mouths. They absorb nutrients directly from the host, from the guts of the host. They take the nutrient directly from the gut of the host. That's one thing that distinguishes them. Number two is the trematodes. That's the fluke worm. The flukes, they are oral shaped, leaf shaped, they are flat, and they have oral and ventral suckers. These ones, they suck blood like anything. And that's why you, an example of them is the Schistosoma mansoni. There's another type of schistosoma. This one is also, I think, affects cows and pigs. I'm not, yes, they affect cows also. Because some of these things that you eat and that are not properly cooked, they are sources of which these organisms or these worms is transferred from their primary host to secondary host. So they suck the blood. They suck the blood of their host. So we have Schistosoma mansoni, we have Schistosoma hematobium, we have Schistosoma japonicum. Schistosoma mansoni, Schistosoma japonicum, Schistosoma hematobium, Schistosoma malayensis, Schistosoma mansoni, so all these are species of schistosomiasis. Anytime you hear schistosomiasis, these are caused by the flukes, the trematodes. They are liver-shaped and they are leaf-shaped and they suck blood. They inhabit the blood in some stages of their life cycle and they cause harms to humans. We also have the third part, which is the nematode. The most common type of nematode which are roundworms are the Ascaris lumbricoides. These ones are very, very common. You're about to call it Aranu, Ascaris lumbricoides. They are also taken from the eggs. When you eat the eggs of Ascaris lumbricoides, which are roundworm, so which are nematodes. So those are the ways in which you get into your body. So Ascaris lumbricoides, they have two separate sexes, the male and the female. They are unsegmented and they have complete digestive system and they colonize your gut. So they are very, very dangerous because they will deprive you of your nutrients and they will get all the details or all the mudu of what you have been eating. You just be eating and you see that you are not getting the nutrients. Not necessarily you are not getting fat. You will just see that they will just be seeing you as if you are malnourished. So, and it has to do with hygiene, and also it has to do with poverty. Usually they go hand in hand. Hardly would you see a poor people that is not having Ascaris lumbricoides. It's a very, very bad thing. As I am talking now, I might even have Ascaris lumbricoides in my tummy. So it's an endemic situation in Africa, and especially Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, majorly. So that's a big problem, and you should gut yourself of this particular nematodes before they kill you. So because we have had cases of them, when they are too much, they form bolus and they migrate around your body, and it's so disgusting. So that's so disgusting. So we should try as much as possible to prevent them. So we'll be talking about them in details in our next class. So I hope we are set for that. So I will drop the evaluation and some of the details on how to go about that on the group chat. So I'll be looking forward to contributions and how we are going to approach the subject. So thank you so much, everyone. If you have any question, please kindly ask. Any question? No question? All right, thank you so much, everyone. So I'll be glad to see us in our next session, and well prepared. Pray Almighty God preserve our life till then and beyond. So see you in our next class. Bye-bye.